Hello and welcome to the Cabin Boy Knits Woolcast, coming to you deep from the Canadian forest.
This is still Christopher.
And this is the other guy,
Jamie.
In this episode, we've got lots of wool talk. We'll be talking about Icelandic wool.
And the Lollapalooza sweat. No. Lopapesa.
And I will be talking about trigger mitts. And I've got a book I want to share with everyone.
And I'm going to be making something yummy and different.
So sit back, grab your favorite drink, and we'll tell you our story. Welcome back to our cabin.
Bienvenue, mes amis.
You know, when I just said that, someone made a comment, and it was episodes. It was last year. Somebody said that our episodes remind them of the Friendly Giant. Do you remember the Friendly Giant when I was a kid?
That was way before my time.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Well, it was a show for little kids.
Just to mention Rusty.
And when that came out of my mouth, that's what I was thinking about, the Friendly Giant.
Oh my God.
So if I'm the Friendly Giant, then what would that make you?
Rusty.
Rusty.
The puppet.
Anyway, welcome back. And the reason I wanted to say that, I wanted to thank our viewers because we have hit a milestone.
We did?
In YouTube world.
We did.
In YouTube land, we have passed 500,000 views. So thank you so much for that.
That's a 500,000 people.
That's a half. Oh my gosh, your math is so right.
No, not necessarily, because it means...
it means views. But
so
it's, yes.
A lot of the same people hopefully are continuing to watch, but the numbers have grown, and that's pretty incredible. So, merci, mes amis, encore une fois.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
fantastic.
Great. And thanks to the subscribers as well. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, we like it when we see those numbers go up as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not something we push. It's just we just do what we do because we love to do it, and we love to hear from all of you, and that's what keeps us going. So thank you.
Yeah. Now we have a new pet.
A pet, we do.
We
talked about it. Maybe having a new pet.
Yeah. Well, this one found us. We didn't find it. We have.
Is it rusty colored?
It's rusty colored with a gorgeous tail. We have a fox in the backyard, and he or she is living.
He or she is back.
Yeah, living underneath the porch. Yeah. But I haven't seen he or she in a few. We have to give it a name.
Well, Foxy. It's Foxy.
Foxy.
Foxy Cabanera.
Foxy Cabanera. Foxy Brown, Foxy Cabanera.
Foxy Brown.
Okay, is living underneath the porch, and actually I haven't seen her in a few days, or a few days.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's a beautiful. It's so beautiful, especially gorgeous. Against the white snow.
Yeah.
You know, when we first saw it, it's just there. It goes across the yard, and then back across. You know, where we park over here, and you're working right over here in front of the window.
Yes.
With this table facing outdoors, and it's come right up.
It sits right outside my window. It's beautiful. And I think what it was doing was hunting for the rabbit that was living underneath the front porch.
Well, we know it has been because...
We've seen evidence.
We've seen, for remnants, we've seen a few rabbit pom-poms in the snow down over there.
Yeah.
And,
But I think Zan may have scared it off. I'm not sure.
Well, no, he didn't scare it off. He may have scared. If there was more than one, there may have been more than one. Because last year, if you recall, if all of you recall, we trapped a couple of them. We trapped them and we set them loose.
Are you talking about the rabbits?
The rabbits, not the fox.
I was talking about the fox.
Yeah, no, the rabbits.
I remember that. Yeah.
The rabbits. So now, no, the evidence is clearly there. But yeah, you're right. I'm thinking, has he moved on? Because, I mean, it was prime area. He had a luxury little warmth underneath the deck, and then feeding from the rabbits, but now we haven't seen him for a little bit.
No, so we're not sure. So maybe Zan scared the fox away.
Well, we hope so, because remember the springtime came around and we had the little, what are they called? Are they pups?
Oh yeah, they were so cute.
Oh, they were the cutest thing. I think we have them in one of our videos. I mean, you could be 2 feet from them. They were beautiful little things. Yeah. They had no fear of humans. They just played right around like I said, like as if they were pets.
Yeah.
But fox. We're not sure. We'll see if he'll be back.
Maybe that's one of them. One of the that was born under the porch. Maybe that was one that
found
came
its
back.
way back.
Who knows?
Oh, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Because they always they return time and again, is what people say.
Yeah.
So one may have returned, because remember the one that came back a couple of times.
Yes.
Later, it was more of a juvenile, and they kept showing up.
Yeah.
He was talking to me, and so we were having a conversation.
You were the fox whisperer.
I was.
That's what
and
you were doing.
He wasn't afraid of me whatsoever.
No, you were sitting in the lawn chair in the back, and it
and I came right up to it, and it
close
would
to
run away. It just watched me and carried on, and
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
beautiful living in nature.
what's new?
What's new, pussycat?
I'm guessing that was directed to me. Well, a couple things. One is you didn't comment on my
Oh,
pin.
I didn't know you were wearing that. It's a sheep, and
It's
I
a
could see
sheep.
some beads.
Yes, my daughter made it for me for Christmas, and so I love it. It's really nice.
And it's in the Métis. Is it a Métis style, would you say, or is it just called the craftsmanship is?
Well, it's beading.
It's beading.
Yeah,
But it's a native tradition.
oh, for sure it is. Yep.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So Geneva, thank you for that. I love it, and I like wearing it.
I have one as well, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I didn't think of wearing it, but it's not a sheep.
Because you were be honest, you were worried it would clash with your sweater. Okay, your eyes too.
I did. Did we not wear them one episode?
No,
We
we
both
wore.
had them
We
on.
yeah, that was last episode.
Oh my gosh,
And
I'm
we
confused.
wore the Dorset buttons last episode.
Oh, we wore the tree. Oh, yes.
Yeah, were you there?
Because yours was bigger, younger than mine.
See, now you remember. Yes.
Yeah, I remember that part because they were different.
Okay,
I had the
so
old tree.
what's new, Pussycat?
Yeah.
Just before we get through that, so what are you drinking?
Just my usual. I still feel like I need a coffee today. Just one of those days. But
'Cause you're not wound up
very
enough.
good friend brought me some very special coffee, and it's already a blend of half and half. Half whiskey and half...
Half vodka and half whiskey.
Exactly. No, it's a half decaf.
Okay.
Because I was mixing it myself. I was putting some half decaf, but I probably could have used a full-on caffeine boost. But it's very good.
Excellent. Okay, so let's get into what's new.
For the fourth time.
I joined a group.
They've tuned out.
I've joined a group on the F book.
Did you tell me that?
No,
He
probably.
never tells me things.
No.
We know that. We've established that.
This
So
is a
tell me.
natural dyeing exchange, and there's about 140 people participating in this. And so what it
Really?
is so Mel Sweeten, who we've talked about in the past, who's a fantastic dyer in New Brunswick.
Mel.
Yeah, Mel. She put together an exchange, and so you sign up for the exchange, and then you dye something using natural dyes, and then you send it. It doesn't have to be yarn; it could be anything. And then you're paired up with somebody, and I am paired up with somebody in Hawaii
Wow.
who used to be.
How is someone in Hawaii paired up with somebody from the east coast of Canada?
Well, I'm not on the East Coast.
Well, I mean, it's through that person.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
The
for
connection
sure.
is there.
Yes.
You're
yes.
just secondary to the
I'm
source.
secondary. Yeah, that's right. And
There's part of that.
there's people all over the world, and so, and I'm glad you asked the question of how do they match, because it's closed. The matchup is closed now. It closed January 31st. However, if you go on the website, so it's on Facebook, and it's Natural Dyeing Exchange or Natural Dye Exchange, you will see that other people have now said, I missed the deadline. Does anybody out there want to exchange some natural dyeing with me? And so I was on there this morning. Somebody
Yes.
from Melbourne was there, Melbourne, Australia.
Oh.
And somebody
That's
somewhere in
great.
Ottawa, Canada was on it as well. So there's still a lot of people.
So
if you
people
want,
could sort of pair each other up or
yeah,
something?
yeah. So if you want to participate in it, you can go on the website and do that. So I'm really excited because we've exchanged emails. And in that, I was told kind of what I would be receiving.
Is it going to be a dyed grass skirt?
No, and
Oh.
she's actually from Michigan, and then I think she moved to the West Coast, and then moved to the West Coast, and then moved from the West Coast into Hawaii, and so
That's funny because okay.
yeah, and she's going to be doing some shibori indigo dyeing. I'm not going to tell you what it is though, because I'm giving the gift is going to you. So, yes.
Okay, well that's special.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm really excited
What
about
efforts
it.
did I
It's
do
fantastic.
to deserve that?
It's you being you, Jamie. Just
Okay.
being you.
And just because you mentioned Hawaii, and I've had, lucky opportunity to have been to Hawaii a couple of times, only because my friend out in Vancouver works for the airline, and I was going to mention that because you fly from here, you go to Vancouver, and she's been to Vancouver more than a dozen times because when you fly from Vancouver that way to Hawaii, it's closer than going to Europe. So she goes to Hawaii, and so I've been a couple of times. But you're right, you go west and continue into...
I've never been to Hawaii.
I know, we talked about it.
And the day we were exchanging email, it was freezing cold here, and we were having a snowstorm. Gosh. And she said, "I'm off to the beach now."
So maybe we need to go pick up the...
Oh, that's a good idea. We'll pick it up in person. That's an excellent idea, because I've never been to Hawaii, so that would be great.
There's an idea.
Yep, there's an idea.
I could use a tropical getaway. I heard about it now. It's that time of year.
Yeah, it's definitely that time of year. Yep. So there's another group I wanted to talk about, unless you had anything more that you wanted to say on the...
Hawaii.
No. So the other group is... which is linked to my finished object. So why don't I just bring out the finished object, because if anyone watched the last episode, they saw that it was a work in progress.
Was it?
Yes.
Was I there?
Yeah.
So your work in progress and to do with a group, the Trigger Mitten Club.
So in the last episode, I was talking about my work in progress, which was the Trigger Mitts, and
there they are.
There they are. And so I posted a picture of the finished object, and people sent me notes and said, how come you're not part of the Saltwater Mittens group on Facebook?
Oh, I remember you brought that up.
And I think there's 6,000 people that are on this Facebook group.
So they all just wear their mittens and...
So I sent in my application. You can't just go. You have to be approved. And wasn't sure if I was worthy enough, but I got approved. And so now I'm part of the Saltwater Mittens group of 6,000 people, and we post pictures of mittens. And for those of you not familiar, Christine LeGros and Shirley A. Scott are the authors of 3 books: Saltwater Mittens, Saltwater Classics, and Saltwater Gifts.
Fantastic.
And so...
And
I know you're dying to say something.
No, I'm just dying to say, I'm just stuck on the approval process. They approved Cowboy. What was that all about?
I begged. I begged.
Do you have to show that you actually had a pair of finished?
No, because I haven't put them on yet.
Oh no, because you only just finished them.
Yeah.
So what's the criteria? You knit.
You have to. Well, yeah, you have to answer
some
tough questions, and then do you knit or crochet? And what is your interest in saltwater mittens?
Are you a nice person?
Yeah.
No mean girls allowed.
Okay, so
mean girls do not apply.
So
mean boys.
Do you remember who I was knitting these for in the last episode? I know you don't watch our episodes.
No, I tell you our episodes. No, I thought they were for Camilo.
That's right. That's right.
Because
my daughter's boyfriend.
Right.
He just got his hunter's license, and the origin of these.
And not only that, because he's also quite an avid outdoorsman.
He is.
They hike, they go out, and I thought, and then he's got some military training, so I'm thinking, he could use these because you can use your fingers. Yeah, and the story from Newfoundland is that these were originally designed to use a rifle and shoot birds with it. So that's why I made them for him. So I showed them to him, and he looked at them, and he said they're a bit loud. These are a bit loud? And so I don't think so. It's a traditional pattern that all men would have worn. So here's the interesting thing. And ladies. The interesting thing is that... Keep saying that. It's men and ladies. So the interesting... What are you talking about? I'm just saying they're loud, and I said for men would have traditionally worn these hunting, but women could have been hunters as well, so that's why I got to stop doing that, because they're just a unisex thing, and the patterns are just traditional patterns from the East Coast. Yes. So he said they're loud, and in a nice way. He's the nicest guy in the world. He did. It was. He said that. But he meant it, and so I had a blank look on my face because I didn't. It was like he spoke a different language. I couldn't figure out what he was saying, and so. Geneva, and my daughter, interpreted. She basically said, "Well, he likes colors that are more, I guess, camel colored or whatnot." Which is they're just black and white. Do you see these colors? Every single pair in here is absolutely super loud. Well, beautiful colors. The interesting thing is he's also colorblind. So oh my gosh! He just saw this. What's going on there? So maybe the pattern that was too loud. So I will knit another pair
for him that are not as
I'm going to
loud.
choose the ugliest colors and he'll wear these things and they'll be a fun embarrassment of the most, awful colors and he won't even have a clue. Just with a more subtle pattern.
But I also read that the mitts are made larger than you would a normal mitt because of you're wearing it out in the outdoors and it gets wet and there's friction on it and then it warms up and so there's a lot of
Really?
it eventually shrinks. But lots of things to think about. And then my son said, "Oh, Dad, those are really cool mitts. Can you knit some for me?" But
that's why I thought you were originally knitting them for.
But I don't want that pattern. Can you put skulls on it?
Skulls on them. Okay, you could do that.
I didn't see any skull patterns in here, but
What I like about them is when I'm out hiking on a long walk in the woods, and then we stop for a little treat. They're great because I can have a little canapé.
Canapé. They are canapé.
See, you could just have a little cookie or a little something like that.
Yeah,
And then
sure.
and then it's so cold when it's 30 below, which it does get 30 below. When your eyes tear up and then your eyelashes freeze together, like the old days, what I remember as a child. And then you could do this and you could defrost your eyelashes.
That's right.
And take the ice off your eyelashes and your eyebrows.
Yeah.
That's what I would use them for.
And for me, when I go for a long walk and it's really cold out and my beard gets icicles in it.
Yes.
Because
icicles.
When I used to run and I go out running in the wintertime, I'd come back and I'd have icicles hanging from my
We're going to show you
beard.
because do you remember the ice storm? We were out there doing something outdoors and your whole face was ice.
Yeah.
We'll pop that up there. We'll find it.
So right now these mitts are mine and I'll be using them for dog walking. So they're my dog walking trigger mitts. I love them. They're great.
No woodsy winter canopies for me. Okay, so
it is time now for our work in progress.
Work in progress. Who's going first?
So I said progress, you said progress, or was it the opposite?
I don't know. What did I say?
I don't know. I said it. You said it, and I think I said progress.
Is that what you say at work?
Yeah, I
don't know.
I do. But I've worked a lot of my time in the U.S. as well for the U.S. as well. So I think I say both.
Well, you say
I straddle the
about-
line of both.
What about when you say like the
Project or
the
project.
conservatives or the progressive? You say progressive. Something's progressive. Do you say it's progressive?
Depends. Depends on my mood.
Progressive.
Depends on what I've been drinking and what my mood is like.
Anyway, something fast forward and you got it.
Okay,
We're gonna talk about
so
yours?
you show me yours and I'll show you mine.
No. Okay. Me first.
Yes. Let's get the drama out of the way.
Oh my
to begin
gosh. Here it is. At first glance, you were thinking it looked like an inverted crown. But it's not. It's a sweater.
with. And so,
But I talked about it though for briefly.
yes, for those
Well,
who
it was
didn't
gonna
watch
be
in the
my-
last episode, what's the deal here?
It was supposed to be it was supposed to be what would we call it? It was a whip, but it was like a pre-whip.
Oh, it was the pre-whip. Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been working on this for weeks, as you can tell. I've got the collar done.
And so what's going on with the collar?
Well, this is what's going on with the collar. I decided my thing is with the collars, they always stretch, and I don't like my last sweater that it went up to here because I want it to be a little more snug. So I was thinking about how we do a cowl. So this is going to just be one of my own designs.
I was going to ask who the designer is on this one.
It's designed by Jem.
Jem. Excellent.
And so I did the collar. I'm using Icelandic wool. And this wool, which is, it's the Massam
Yes. Yeah.
that you dyed with goldenrod.
I think it's BFL and Massam mixed.
Okay. And so I'm doing this mixed combination. And it's worsted, so I've doubled it up here, but I didn't want too much of it. I started off I want this nice clean of the yellow line and then a mix, and I did it like we do the cowls, so it's going to be nice and sturdy and stay snug around my neck. I could even do this and show you even.
I was going to ask, but I didn't think you want to mess up your hair.
Ooh la la, see how it's going to sit nicely? And I said I would not do, what do you do, a swatch, or you do something once or twice or three times? Never, I said, Never say never.
Okay, you get gauge first, and then you do a swatch.
Never say never, as they say. But I went ahead and I had to undo it.
Is this your swatch?
I did it. No, I undid it like 3 or 4 times and started over, and it's just right. And I'm not now.
You're just like the 3 little bears.
No stop me. So that's the first part of it, and then it's basically a raglan sweater. I'm going to continue with this all natural Icelandic. This is a
Canadian Icelandic
Icelandic Lopi, and it's also in the natural black. It's called, although it looks like a very, very dark brown. It's called natural black.
Yeah, there's definitely brown hues in it.
Yeah, and I got some in my mouth. And also, so here is the Massum and BFL, and I'm going to include this natural cream color with it.
That's very nice.
Because I'm going to have a couple of stripes.
Yep.
And I'm going to have a couple of dotted lines going across the shoulder. I'm also thinking I was going to do this where it's going to be like the cream here and then across the chest, and then the cuffs, and we're going to do a bit of pattern.
I thought that kind of looked like a harness when you were...
Well, that's what you mentioned, but I like the look of it. It looked very...
Or a Space Manny harness kind of thing.
I've seen the sweater in a retro magazine, and I like the retro look of it. But you're right. I hope it doesn't look like a pair of suspenders on the sweater, but I don't think it will.
Is it retro or vintage?
Both.
Yeah.
And also on the shoulders, I'm doing the garter stitch, but what I like is going to have these sort of almost like shoulder pad.
Like a Joan Collins
shoulder pad.
From Dynasty.
But it's actually done, I'm skipping every other row. So it's knit purl, but I'm skipping every other row, and there's going to be, it's like almost like a caterpillar look, or like tracks. Yeah. So it's going to be like tracks across the shoulder, and I'm going to do the same here. But when I do
that'll be great.
When I do that here, like elbow patches, I'm going to do it the same as this.
Yep.
And this will be around the cuffs and around the waistband as well. And I'm also going to add, as per usual, but I don't have it here because I couldn't find my pink, but I'm going to have a touch of pink somewhere to give it my trademark.
Your trademark. That's great. That's exciting. I love the colors that you chose. I think they're going to look fantastic. Well, I think they're going to look great.
I think this color just looks really retro, I find.
Yeah, it does for sure. And I like the neck that you did. So it almost looks like a little cowl like around the neck. Yeah, I like it.
And it was very tricky because what I had to do was, it's interesting because if I would have just done it in yellow, I only did a few rows in the yellow because it automatically curls. But the two combined, I thought, and as you can see, the two curls combined is the same width as the one that I did about 6 rows. Yeah. So I wanted it to be consistent, but I wanted it to have that distinct yellow. So it's a combination. But it'll be more of a challenge, I think, to write out the pattern. I've been taking notes as I go.
Yeah, no, I saw that.
So I'm going to be able to figure out exactly what I did to get this exact pattern.
Fantastic.
Now, what did you make? What are you making? I know what he's making. Don't be fooled. This is something I do know, but
making an Icelandic sweater as well. And I started one sweater, and then I wasn't loving it. The sizing was so bizarre on the first sweater I started.
Was it? I really liked the way it was going.
And so then I switched it up because the other issue was I didn't have enough yarn in stock to cover that one.
But you got like about this much of the sweater done, didn't you?
Well, it was a swatch. It was a large swatch.
Oh my gosh.
So, and I just thought, you know what? I'm not feeling this sweater, and I'm worried that I'm going to run out of yarn. So I just thought, I'm packing this one up. And so I found another one. This was priceless. So I was looking through the sweaters that I have photos of, and there's one that I saw on somebody and I really liked it. And so I thought, I'm going to pick this one.
In a picture?
Yes. Oh. And so then I showed Jamie the picture. I said, no, I did see it in real life on somebody. And I showed Jamie the picture, and there was dead silence. He didn't say anything.
And like that. I don't remember.
He didn't say anything. And so I waited for about 10 seconds, and I said, oh, do you like it? And you said, I don't even remember what you said. I'm sure it wasn't a yes, but you said something. You didn't say it was loud, but you did say something about it. And you didn't love it anyway. And I said, well, I am very confident in this sweater, and I'm looking forward to it. The other thing is that it's a bottom up. And
upside down.
I usually knit top down. I'm definitely a top. I don't knit bottom up. And so I thought this.
Well, I was watching.
Why not do this?
I don't think I like it either.
And I'll tell you why I don't, but it also reminded me of a story as well. So,
It's a story.
the bottom up. So I thought to myself, what am I going to do? I can rewrite the pattern and rework it so that it's top down. So I could do that. And then I thought, you know what?
But that takes too much thinking.
I need to embrace the bottom up sweater because I need to find out what's going on in this journey. How am I feeling about it? How am I going to feel? Like, what does it look like? And you're constructing it differently as well.
You're doing something new. You're always telling me, Jamie, just follow the pattern. And I'm always like, this isn't going to work out because here I'm counting this row and that row, and then I'm counting here. But look, on my other sweater, it's not matching up. It's not. Follow the pattern, and you will just follow the pattern. And now he's thinking he was going to completely do the pattern like inverted.
So I had to make a decision. I had to decide, what am I going to do? Am I going to stick with this pattern because I love the sweater and rewrite it so that I can do top down, or am I just going to embrace it and go? And so then I had a little voice in my head, and it came from an experience I had in Kyoto.
In Kyoto?
Yes, Japan. When I was there.
Oh, thank you for that. I thought it was near Scarborough.
Well, you know my accent, my Scarborough accent. It was in Kyoto.
I was saying Kyoto. My surprised look is because I was thinking, Kyoto? When were you in Kyoto? I know where Kyoto is. I do know a little bit about geography.
Okay. So now that you're with me in the story, I decided the first day I was there to take a tour.
Did you use your GPS to realize you were in Japan?
No, but you know what I did do? I was going from Tokyo to Kyoto, and I was reading or I was doing something, and I completely missed Mount Fuji. We went right by it.
Oh my gosh.
So was not happy about that, but oh well. So I'm in Kyoto, and
did you see it on the way back?
And when I was on the tour, Sky gets on with a shaved head. A guy gets on I'll have to put subtitles. And he gets on the bus and sits down beside me, and we start chatting, and he lives 2 blocks away from my sister.
What?
And so
what are the chances?
Yeah, what are the chances? So we hung out all day, and then we rented bikes, and I said, I've been there actually a couple of days before that. So I said, here, follow me, we're going to go to this market in this other area. So we took on our bikes, we rode out to this market, and then on the way back, I said, well, let's go back this way. It's great. I've been here. It's beautiful, beautiful scenery. And he said, no, I want to go this way. And he said, why don't we go this way? And I said, well, because this way I know is beautiful.
Is that where the Icelandic sweater was?
Yes, we're getting back to that, yes. No, but the story gets better. But
Is this where someone goes and makes a cup of tea?
No, you don't want to miss this part. And so I said, okay, why don't we go this way? But I really wanted him to see this part. But I said, okay, we'll go that way because I've never seen it before. And
Okay.
So we end up at this mountain.
A mountain?
Or this huge hill.
Not Mount Fuji.
And he said, let's climb it. And I said, okay. So we put our bikes down, and then we start walking up this. This part is crazy.
We don't just.
And I was not.
Go hike a mountain.
And let me just say also,
Did you have gear
it's
or water?
afternoon. I was not drinking. I was fully hydrated.
I know where this is
I was
going.
eating. So we're walking through, and we're halfway. We've been walking for half an hour, and we were going through these caves. And I remember I said he was bald. So we're going through these caves, and he stood up. And
one of those,
yes,
those stalactites, what are they called?
There was a
Did it go
sharp,
right through his head and
it did.
through his?
It didn't go through that, but it went. He stood up to it, and it dug right into his head.
Oh,
the sharp, and there was blood all over the place, and so it was horrible.
How do you say that word? Stalactite? What is it? Something
but that's
like
not
that.
what it was. But yeah, so anyway, we went through
caves.
So we had some. I wiped it up a little bit. So we just got out of the cave, and we're standing there, and.
Did he pass out?
No, but a geisha walked by in the shoes.
What?
In the traditional shoes.
What is she doing there?
Well, and we're halfway through the mountain. But I'm pretty sure...
Because you always just run into a geisha when you're hiking in the mountains.
And I'm pretty sure, I will put money on this, that they were not female. And so...
Is this candid camera?
And that's what I said.
She disappeared.
I said... What are the I was looking around for cameras and thought, is this candid camera or what is going on here? This is crazy. And then I'm obsessed about how did this person get up to that far up the hill?
And she was wearing an Icelandic sweater. And
did not speak any English at all. And so anyway, I just said there was no Icelandic sweater here. So then we went back down the hill, And I said, well, let's go to my hotel because there's a full medical, I was staying in a nice hotel, there's full medical facilities there and everything else. And so on the way back, he said, well, I really want to look at my head. And I didn't want him to look at his head because it was really bad. Yes. So he said, let me pull into this barber shop and check it out. So we went to the barber shop.
The barber shop,
and they wouldn't let us.
That's where you go when you're.
Well, no, but but they've got mirrors and everything. They wouldn't let us in to the barber shop.
Well, no, he's covered in blood.
No, he wasn't covered in blood at this time, but there was a sign that said that there's no Caucasians allowed in the barber shop, and so so we couldn't get in. And I said his head's bleeding. And they said, no, you're not allowed in here.
Cloth or something?
Nothing.
Why is that?
So
what
they
is that all about?
Well, so they said, we went back and then cleaned him up at the place. And then he went back to his place and ended up going to the hospital and getting a few stitches. But it was pretty bad. All of that to say that we took
about an Icelandic sweater.
We took the other route. And so I hope taking the bottom up route isn't as bloody and has a better outcome. But it was. So
instead of going this direction, you're going this direction.
Yes.
But that didn't work out, but you're hoping that this is all going to work out for you by taking this direction.
But I will tell you my verdict on this so far.
I was still waiting for you to say, and there was this...
No, there's no Icelandic. It was just all about the journey.
Top of the mountain, there was snow, and there was a group of Icelandic folk in their Icelandic sweaters at the top.
No, there was a geisha person up in the mountains.
So basically it has nothing to do with the Icelandic sweater.
No, it has everything to do with the journey. I chose door number 2 rather than door number 1, the one that I was familiar with. Okay. So now I'm doing bottom up.
Story.
Bottom up.
It's quite entertaining.
So let me hold it up.
So take notes,
and
folks.
I will say one of the positive things about this is it's a very quick knit. Like I just started this.
I know.
Like a couple weeks ago.
Don't need to rub it in.
No, I didn't. It's not because of
I know that, but I'm thinking I started this weeks ago, and then I'm like, oh, you got a whole sweater.
So I'm doing the bottom up part, and then you do the leaves. Oh my gosh, the sleeves separately, and so I'm doing the sleeves, and then I've attached the
That's not my jungle juice.
So, and then I've attached the sleeves, and now I'm doing the yoke. Now here's my thing about this.
Well, you took a little time on these sleeves because it seemed rather. I mean, because you knit the other way, and sleeves just become part of it.
Yeah.
And you know how to do that. It seemed when it was a little bit not so much of a challenge, but you really had to follow the instructions to see how these sleeves were.
Well, the Olympics are on now
attached.
too, so don't watch anything.
Yeah.
Like watch. Well, I get too excited about curling too, so I'm trying to figure out a sport. Long speed. Well, I like.
He likes a lot of winter sports, and we've been watching Olympics, and it's been distracting from trying to follow a pattern that you've not done before. That's a little more intricate.
Yeah, but I'm glad you mentioned that because this pattern is so easy to follow. Like, no, I mean the charts. The charts are simple. So once you get the first 5 rows in, it's just repeating after, and it's fantastic. And you're just switching colors. But what I was going to say about the joy about doing top down is when you finish the yoke.
Wasn't it bottom up?
Yeah, it is, but that's what I'm talking about, the joy of doing top down.
Oh.
The joy is that you've got your yoke done, and then you can put it on, just like you're doing, and you get a sense of the sweater, and you get, so there's almost instant gratification. This way, you're going all the way up, doing everything else, and then the yoke is the very end.
And hope that your swatch was right bang on, because if not, do you want to just start your sweater over? But you know what? If it's just a little bit smaller, it'll fit me. There's always that.
Sure.
Or your son Devin.
Yeah, we'll go with that version. So anyway,
Geneva.
I'm looking forward to finishing this. It actually
gorgeous.
is a nice, and it's called Jon, Jon.
Mm-hmm.
And the pattern is, I'll post a link to the pattern, but it's I found it through Ravelry.
It's gorgeous, and like you said, obviously the pattern wasn't that it's difficult to follow once you got the hang of it because you've been moving right along. Like you just flew through this sweater. I can't even believe it.
And so I've actually enjoyed it, and I've learned some things knitting this way, things that I like and don't like. But I've really enjoyed it. I'll probably go back to top down after this. But as you say though, because you can start seeing how it fits and everything else on the way through. This is you have to be bang on with your measurements.
Yeah.
And the reason why I left the first pattern was because the measurements didn't there was one piece of the pattern that didn't make any sense. So I was manually calculating what I thought it should be.
And you redid that. You redid it a couple of times because it seemed like it wasn't. It was absolutely not even going to fit.
I know.
And so I'm just following, like, I only knit one other sweater, so I'm sort of basing it on that. But I know that, we were doing both the same sweater. I was able to judge it based on yours. Looked like it was going to be a little small, so I just adjusted because for the yoke it had the same number of stitches to start, and I could have increased. So this is going to be the same because I'm going to go to the shoulders, but when I get to the shoulders, and I'm supposed to count, I think it's 194 stitches, I'll count them. But when I'll be able to put it on and see across here, and if it's not enough, I'll be able to increase it just a little bit here so that it'll fit down in here. Yeah. And then same thing with the sleeves, because you're able to put it on, because I did that when I was trying to gauge the elbows the last time to do those elbow patches, so I could put it on, put the sleeve in, and I'll be able to gauge exactly where I'm going to measure as I go. Yep. I'm just winging it, folks. That's what I like to do.
So anyway, and just the last thing about this sweater is the yarn that I'm using. I've also switched that up a little bit too, because I was worried that my grays weren't contrasting enough. So I've brought in a new color, which is an off-white. So I've got white, a lighter gray, a darker gray, and then this color. And then I actually might introduce a black as well.
I've got fluff on my... I got yarn in my face.
Oh. So then, I'm using Icelandic yarn, and except for this one, and this is Gotland, and the yarn wasn't thick enough, so I've just doubled it up, and I'm using this yarn. So
is that? Oh, you didn't tell me that part.
Yeah, it's a surprise.
I know you switched up the colors because you want a little bit more contrast because the two grays were not quite that contrasting, and of course with the sweater, you have it on the cuffs and on the bottom, but it's still beautiful. But then this part is the part that's really always the showy part, right? Yes. It's up front and center. Yeah. So that's why you decided you wanted a little more contrast, so you got that. And that thing, what do you call that with that pattern? Because it's one of those illusions when you look at it on the page, where cubes. Yes. It looks like cubes, and on the page
because of the shadowing.
And because of the fading of each color, it looks like you're looking at cubes, and you can look at it one way or the other way. That's what it looks like. Yeah. So you'll have that. That'll show even clearer with the new color that you've added.
So that's my work in progress. In the next episode, it's going to be a finished object. That is, I brought this out because we love touching fiber, and this is.
Did you just cough this up?
Yeah, it's a
I think I just coughed that up.
So this is Icelandic wool, and I think you are going to tell us a little bit about the history of the Lollapalooza.
It's the Lopapesa sweater and Icelandic wool.
Yes.
I do know a little bit about that. Let's just, from the start, I want to mention one thing, only because now that you pulled out your sweater, I'm going to talk about Iceland. Okay. And a little bit about the sheep and a little bit of the history of the sweater.
And do you know the color Bjork's house?
No, but it's somebody I knew was in a coffee shop one time in Reykjavik, which is the capital of Iceland, and over at the next table, people went, pss, 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 pss. It was Bjork's mother having a coffee.
Do they look alike?
I don't know. Maybe she was looking like something like, oh, my coffee is good. Thank you. And that's how they knew it was Bjork.
I would love to.
Have you not seen Bjork on RuPaul's Drag Race?
I would love to, of course, see her.
I would like to meet her because she would be a lot of fun.
Why do I need to meet her, though, when I have you?
I don't know where that came from. Oh, my gosh.
Anyway.
I got to think about history here. Okay, let me just take a... Okay.
So her house is black, and so that's why you can, when you go into the harbor...
Is it really?
Yeah.
How do you know this?
Because I'm a Bjork fan.
Oh, my gosh.
Why do you think we're together?
I feel you're making that up.
No.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Iceland. So Iceland, for those of you, some people know world geography, some people may not. Iceland is in the North Atlantic. It's between Greenland, which is kind of north of Canada, between Greenland, way north of Canada, between Greenland and Norway, you have this island, Iceland. Now, It's
And we've been there.
we did a pit stop in Iceland. I
Yeah.
bought a little Viking hat for my
Yeah.
little.
Do you remember what I bought?
Wool.
Yes.
We bought a beautiful blanket too.
Yes.
Remember that beautiful blanket?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah, we made a pit stop. But we should have, if we were flying right into Iceland, I don't know why we didn't.
We didn't do a
How come we
stopover?
didn't do
I
a
don't
real
know.
stopover and stay for even 2 days?
Because the
We
prices have gone
landed
up
there.
to fly to Iceland now. They're expensive again.
Although a friend went recently and at a real
Yeah.
discount, and
Yeah.
for that reason alone, they flew there for next to nothing and
Yeah.
had a wonderful getaway just not long ago.
Right.
But not from Canada. You would think so because it's closer, but he flew from the States. So where was I?
So we were talking about the history of Iceland.
Well, I'm
and
going to
we
a
finished
little
with
bit
Bjork's
about
mother.
Iceland. So a little bit about Iceland. So I'm going to mention that, okay, Iceland, you think of ice and land. The territory itself encompasses the larger portion of the island is, lava and sand and wasteland. There's another large percentage covered in glaciers and a number of lakes, as well as then quite a large area of grazing for sheep.
Yep.
And a much smaller percentage where they cultivate the land.
Right.
But that said, even with the harsh winter landscape, it's been a settled permanent settlement since a couple of thousand years, beginning in about 1874, when the first settlers arrived, and into the 900s, it was pretty much an established and settled area. And during the 9th and 10th century, the Norwegians brought with them their sheep. Now, they're part of a northern European short-tailed sheep. And over hundreds of years, they've adapted and became acclimatized to the area. And they were then, with selective breeding and that sort of thing, they established this Icelandic sheep.
Right.
And the Icelandic sheep is also one of the purest breeds in the world, obviously because of the isolation, but as well as it was illegal. It was forbidden to bring any other sheep to the island, as it still is today. Part of that reason too is in the late 1800s they stopped the selective breeding and trying to, much more purify, because that was causing a lot of issues and problems. So they stopped that and they just kept breeding what they have, the natural sheep. Now, at any given time, winter months, there are over 500,000 sheep, and there are more of them in the summertime, like up to 800,000 sheep during the summer months. So thousands and thousands of sheep, they outnumber the population. 2/3 of the population, and they're around 250,000 inhabitants. I think it's a little more than that. 2/3 of them all live in and around Reykjavik, the capital. Now, there's a little bit of a Canadian connection I want to mention, since I'm talking a little history. So, in the 1800s, for whatever reason, probably like a climate change, it began getting colder and colder during that time period. So a lot of people left Iceland, and over 15,000 emigrated to Canada. Particularly, all went to southern Manitoba.
Oh,
and
wow.
That's interesting that it would be southern
Yeah.
Manitoba. And on the southwest side of Lake Winnipeg. Now, we Canadians, and you may not know, Winnipeg is it's interesting because it's always one of the coldest cities in all of Canada. It gets cold, very cold, all winter in Winnipeg. So they settled in this area, and they still continue their Icelandic traditions. It was called New Iceland at first because of the settlement, and they continue those traditions. They have an Icelandic festival annually, and it's the second longest running ethnic festival in all of North America, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, and what's interesting, now that you bring this up, we have a friend in Denmark, a couple friends in Denmark, but one of them in particular was seeing someone at the time, and
He was?
yes,
Do tell.
And
Spill the tea, honey.
no, this isn't tea, but this is just. But anyway, so his boyfriend said to us that he wants to go to Canada, and I said, "Well, where do you want to go in Canada?" And he said Manitoba.
Oh.
And it's because he saw a movie, and it called Manitoba, or it was around Manitoba or in Winnipeg or somewhere around there. But anyway, he that's where he wanted to go. He wanted to visit. It was high on his list of places to visit.
Well, that reminds me. What is the book? Is it the Stone? I may get mixed up here in my books. I'm wondering if it. I don't think it's the Stone Angel. But what's a classic Canadian book I would have read in high school? And are mixing some stories up. But it's about the Norseman, the Viking, who he began building a ship in the middle of the prairies.
Like, are you talking about one of Margaret Lawrence's books? Or?
Well, does this sound familiar to you?
Well,
or this is a true story where he began building the ship.
We have.
Does that sound familiar to you?
Well, yeah. So when you're saying to you, I'm pushing this one out to the viewers because we have a lot of readers out there. Some of our viewers read a lot of books, and I'm sure someone can answer your question.
I could be getting mixed up between a real life story or a documentary. Yes, that one I read, but it's been a little while since high school, and a lot of the books I couldn't keep up with my reading. I just couldn't. We had so many novels because I'm in Canada, because I went to a French school. We had equal amounts of French and English literature to read. I could not read, 12 books in one. I take a year to read a novel this big.
Yeah, it's because you were too busy.
History books.
You were too busy roller skating at the Roller Palace in Sudbury. You had to get ready. You started getting ready for your roller disco.
It's roller country.
Oh, sorry, roller country.
Roller country.
You started getting ready on a Wednesday for the Friday and Saturday night.
Couldn't miss a Friday night at roller country or a Saturday night at roller country.
So what did you wear?
That's a story for another time. Oh gosh,
Did you have painter pants back then?
Yes, we had painter pants. Do I need to tell one roller country story, or it's not even part of this anything we're talking about? I gotta get back to the history of Iceland. Sure. Okay, so roller country. Picture it. Sudbury, 19 whatever. I was in high school.
State of the art. Was it in the 60s?
No, it was much later.
So was it disco era?
It was disco.
Okay.
They built the state-of-the-art a super rink just for roller skating.
So what did you wear at roller country?
Okay, well, you already mentioned the painter pants. So, yeah, there's a story there. So picture it, the state-of-the-art roller rink. And it had like plush carpeting, and it had these great big round plush, what do you call that? Shag rug. Shag along the edge of the railing of the rink. Gigantic disco balls, one at either end that spun, so when they put them on for special songs, the whole arena was like starlit. So picture it, painter pants. I was on a date.
Okay, painter pants are white, just for everybody's
white
sake.
Painter pants. And they were at the time, they were Quebec coveralls. They were a Quebec brand. So they're white coveralls, white denim with a little Quebec flag on them, Quebec coverall jeans. So I'm on a date.
Her. Okay, I just want to be clear.
Her name was Vanda. So Vanda and her sister, I don't know if it was her one or two sisters, all three of them looked the same. They all were wearing they all had this beautiful, shiny, all raven-haired beauties, the three of them together, and they would roller skate around and around, the three of them together, and they just stood out like they were gorgeous, blue-eyed. So Vanda, we're on a date. I went to the concession to get us a little treat. So they're sitting in the little concession tables. You could go there because you can't bring drink in case you spill it onto the plush carpeting. You've got to stay in the little area. So I'm on my way with 2 drinks, each a chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk. They already know where this is going. Okay, so I'm just headed towards the table. I just about to stop, and I put my stopper on the foot. Well, there was something that caught my skate, and boom, I tripped, and the chocolate milk spilt all down the table and splattered all over their white Quebec coveralls. Folks, I can't even make this up. So you can imagine these 3 beauties, like, it's a Saturday night at roller country. You're babyed up for the evening, and all of a sudden, what?
So was there a second date?
That was the end of Vanda May and my relationship. Never again.
Okay, so back to the Icelandic history. and we're back at Bjork's mother in the...
Oh, we're doing a wool cast. Okay, so now I mentioned all about the Icelandic culture and how it came to Canada.
Yes.
Now, let's just get back to the history of Iceland. Let's just jump ahead to Iceland's independence. Now, it was ruled. It was part of Norway for the longest time, and then Norway and some of the Scandinavian countries. They became one at some point, and then they split again. And when they split at that period of time, I didn't delve too much into that part of the history, but it was under Danish rule. It chose to stay established with the Danes, so it was under Danish rule for the longest period up until World War II. So on June 17th, 1944, right after the World War II, they became an independent republic.
Oh.
Yes. So during that time, you have to think of, the Industrial Revolution had, come in, you're right in prime time. Imports and the garment industry was completely, it was all about imports and industrialization. So they had lost a lot of their traditional apparel and clothing and that sort of thing. But one thing they were knitters. And for thousands of years, going back to the 1500s, as early as the 1500s, you had knitters, you had sheep. They still, at this time, they have a lot of sheep, a lot of wool, and a lot of knitters. So this is where the Icelandic sheep was developed at this time. So this is mid-1900s, and it's called the Lopapeysa. Lopa, coming from the word lopi, which is the lopi fiber, and pesa, which means a jumper or a sweater. So, a lopi sweater. Lopi, as we talked about, is the lopi from the unspun yarn, and all natural, and it's traditional to use. It comes in all...
Did you want to hold that while you're talking about the fiber?
This is only one of them. This is Icelandic as well. These are both Icelandic.
And this is just the fiber.
This is just all natural. So it's traditional to use the natural colors, which the sheep come in, there's black and brown, gray and white. So the Icelandic sweater, it is traditional to use at least two of these colors and, a multitude of, innumerable, creativity in the yoke and the patterns, go over the shoulder. And a lot of the time, oftentimes, you have the patterns on the cuffs and along the waistband, and that is now become something of... they wanted to get back to their roots because of their independence. They wanted to get back to their roots, get back to something. And so this gave them a lot of, just that proudness of some of their tradition. And this has become now, it's a worldwide, well-known sweater. It's marketed worldwide. And you get thousands and thousands of tourists annually who visit Iceland. And that is now the very well-known Icelandic sweater and Icelandic patterns.
Yeah, because when you think about Iceland and what people buy, it's the sweaters. Like a lot of people will just go and buy the sweaters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's an association in Iceland that has farmed out the production of these sweaters to a lot of knitters, and that's how some of them are making extra money or money from knitting these sweaters.
Well, it's an entire industry pretty much there. I'm not sure exactly those stats. I didn't look into that, but we did watch a video where, oh my gosh, you could go shopping and you could have any which patterns. And there's some that are quite traditional that people will say, oh, there's this variation of this variation, but yeah.
So I handed you this because I was a hint to say, tell us a little bit about the wool.
I wanted to mention a little bit about the wool, but why don't...
Am I jumping to that?
All I mentioned was...
Well, just about what it is. Like, it's different, right? Because they're using the outer...
I was going to mention that because I mentioned the colors. So it comes in the naturally in those colors. But yeah, it has what's very special about this wool is that you think about the sheep that have evolved over thousands of years, hundreds of years, I should say, in Iceland, getting used to these harsh winter cold climates. So they developed this, their fleece is developed that has very uniqueness to it, which is the outer layer and the inner layer. Now the outer layer is like a very long, it's got a very nice sheen to it, and it's also waterproof. The outer layer.
Tog. It's called tog.
It's called tog.
It's the outer layer. Yeah.
That's the tog. And then there's the inner layer. Is there
T-H-E-L, yeah. Towel, or the thou.
What is it?
T-H-E-L is the inner layer.
How do you say it?
I think it's thou.
Okay. So I didn't even know that part of it. But the inner layer and the outer layer. So the inner layer then is very soft and fine, and that's what keeps close to the body and gives you the warmth. So the sweater is the same thing. It's water repellent, and it'll still, even if it gets damp, it'll keep you warm on the inside because of this. That has both in the Lopi wool. That's what it's known for.
And so when you talk about the softness of it, the inner layer has a micron count, which is just somewhere from 18 to 21. So it's really soft. And then the outer layer is in the higher 20s. So that's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
But that's why it's so great though for sweaters. Because when you have a mixture of the two, you've got the softness of the inner layer, but you've also got the water properties or resistant properties in the sweater too.
And it's also, because of the unspun natural fiber, they mentioned the airiness to it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, this is as light as a feather. And so you get this beautiful, very, very warm sweater, water resistant, that keeps you so warm, yet it's so light. You don't need this big, thick, heavy sweater. Like that one sweater that you knit, that it's beautiful. And I forget which wool you use, but remember we were comparing it to my sweater, which I used Scotland and Icelandic, and it was like 10 times the weight of my sweater. Like, I'm not exaggerating.
Well, this one is heavy. This Icelandic sweater is heavy. Or
is it? Not heavier than the other.
No, not heavier.
That's
no, not
relatively
nearly.
light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, compared to your Gotland sweater, which it's the same thing with the hat that we have. You put the toque on,
yes,
it feels like you don't have anything on your head, and it's super warm. It's really nice with the Gotland.
Yeah.
The other thing I find with Icelandic wool is when we're at festivals and I see some of the farms that have it and the yarn that they're selling, you really have to feel the yarn. Because some of it they'll have a lot of top coat. Some of it they'll have a great mixture.
Oh, you could tell.
And some of it, oh my gosh, yes,
oh,
absolutely.
So that makes sense. You definitely want to feel it to see what the blend is.
Yep.
I suppose.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. And we did an episode on Icelandic sheep, so that's why I didn't get into the history. And we did mention this wool in particular is a Canadian Icelandic sheep. It was sourced in southern Ontario.
Yes.
So it's absolutely beautiful.
Yep.
And it does have a beautiful softness.
So I can't wait to see what our sweaters look like when we're finished.
Well, yours is pretty much, I could see it. Mine, it's still all up here.
No, but when you finish the yoke, it's going to be really exciting. Okay.
Where to now?
I'm kind of hungry. Why don't we go and get something to eat? Are you going to take me to the kitchen? Or are you going to run off to the kitchen?
Well, let's just take you there and it'll be a surprise.
Okay.
And it's going to be good.
Excellent.
Hi there. Well, you're in Jamie's outdoor kitchen because today we're doing something extra special. I'm going to give you a very brief history on what I'm about to do today. So, it's winter. It's not quite that time of year, but soon the sap will be running in the trees, you'll have snow on the ground, and it will be maple syrup time. Now, maple syrup time means maple syrup on the snow, or maple toffee. Before I go there, let me just explain. I'm wearing a traditional voyageur or Métis First Nations sash. It's an arrow sash, une ceinture fléchée, and I'm wearing my voyageur hat. This was used by the voyageurs. I'm not going to get into a big history, but it was functional. People see it, voyageurs wear it. You see the voyageurs in the canoe, the French settlers wearing these. They actually used this. It was functional as well, because what they would do, this is very strong. The way they hand wove it into this fabric, very strong cotton, it was used to haul and carry the goods. They had like 300 pounds or so on their backs when they had to portage, on their way to the trading posts and the Northwest Company, Hudson Bay Company. They would carry this packages with their sashes. So they weren't just a fashion statement as it is today. That's why I'm wearing it. Now, let me just explain a little bit about maple syrup. Now, maple syrup was discovered by probably First Nations peoples in North America. and in Canada, let's talk about Canada in particular. So we recently discovered a sapsicle. So let's say a tree, a limb snaps middle of winter from the cold. Well, all of a sudden it just lets out like a hole in which the sap will just come seeping out, and you'll have a sapsicle, which we came across one not long ago. You'll see it in a photo. So walking through the woods, and there it was coming out of the tree, brown ice. Well, it's maple syrup. So the first settlers, some of the earliest settlers and French explorers, it's written in history, beginning maybe in the late 1500s and again in the 1600s, where it's noted that natives used the sap to make this maple sugar. And not just any sap from any old tree, it was a maple tree. It was very specific to the maple tree. And what natives would do, you could boil it down and thicken it, and as you do the process, you boil down the maple syrup to get it thicker and thicker and thicker. There are different grades of it. The color is a golden yellow brown, so sweet and so good. But they would make maple sugar because maple syrup doesn't store very well in those days, of course, so they would let it just crystallize, and they would put it in a square or box container. It would crystallize and turn into maple sugar, which they could use at later dates. Now, when worldwide sugar became readily available, maple sugar went out of fashion, but you could still buy it in specialty stores, and it's great for traditional Quebecois and other sweet goods using maple sugar. I have some in the house. So another thing I want to mention, what do you think this is? Interesting enough. You've probably seen this on an animal, in the wood, plowing woods. You see this around their neck like a harness. Well, this yoke is made for people. It fits nicely around the neck. And what do you think? Oh, my mittens are stuck on the... Mittens are stuck on the hooks. Oh my gosh, the hooks went right through the mittens, and these are very special saltwater mittens that Christopher knitted, and the hooks have gone right through the mittens. Oh my gosh. Okay, that cannot happen. All right, let's show you that again. So, the yoke. You carry back the buckets of maple syrup long distance through the woods. Probably could have been used at the well as well, but most likely wells were right near the house, so you just grab the water. There's a pump just outside, the log cabin. In this case, you're traveling a distance to get the maple sap in buckets and carry it on one of these. Okay. Oh my gosh, these hooks are getting caught everywhere. And here we have, this thing is over 100 years old. It's a paddle to stir the hot pots of maple syrup. Just happened to pick one of these up because I love it. It's an old piece of wood paddle from a century ago or more. Okay, so the maple syrup taffy. We got fresh snow. Do not eat yellow snow as a rule. Pure white snow. Out over there, I just scooped it up in one of the clearings. A little bit of tree debris, scoop that off. Beautiful clear snow. What we're going to do is we're going to take the snow, we're going to pack it onto this board, which I'm going to do now. So pack the snow, and it's perfect because it's nice and hardened. It's very good when it's like a hardened, packed snow. Chunks of it. Now, when you go, if you've never been to a sugar bush, a sugar shack, a maple sugar shack, you got to do it. Or even better yet, come to Canada. Come to Quebec City. Oh my gosh, Quebec City in the winter is one of the most magical cities in the world, full of history and old buildings. It's so stunningly beautiful. We are planning on going. We keep talking about we got to get to Quebec City this winter, and they will have this maple toffee. You could go into any little shop. They may have it. They will probably have it out on the street where they'll be doing it. So I have maple syrup in here now. you're going to give me a minute because the maple syrup has to be piping hot. We're going to boil it on the stove to a very hot degree, and then it's just poured onto the ice cold snow, and it's going to form a toffee. We're going to take one of our sticks, roll it in there, and we're going to have maple toffee. So let me grab the pure maple syrup, which, by the way, comes from the sugar shop just up the hill, Maple Creek Sugar Bush, just down the road. And this time of year, we always get, I'll show you a bucket of it, and through the season, sure enough, it's down to about here, so we're just about due. As soon as it warms up, the temperature has to reach just above the freezing mark for a period of time, about a week or so. So as soon as the warmer weather starts, the temperature rises, the sap starts running. So what happens is it needs to be hot, cold. So the sap runs through the day, then overnight the temperature drops, and that will happen back and you get the sap running. And this is the best time of year when there's full sap running and you collect the maple syrup. We did mention this in one of our episodes. We went to the sugar bush in a previous episode. Let me get the hot maple syrup. Okay, so I have my hot maple syrup. It's been simmering, boiling, piping hot, and we're gonna give this a go. I can't get any maple syrup on the saltwater mittens. I won't hear the end of it because, you know, it'll solidify and turn into maple sugar, and they'll be ruined. It's very cold out today. Okay, let's give this a go. So you're gonna pour the hot maple syrup on the snow in strips, and it's going to turn to toffee, apparently. Oh, well. Okay. I don't know about that. Maybe I poured too much. How is that going to work? I don't know, folks. I don't know. Maybe I'm pouring way too much. I don't know what I'm doing. Don't know. Oh, yeah. Oh. Okay. I think this is how it works. It's gonna turn into taffy. It's gonna turn into taffy. Oh my gosh. It's crystallizing. I think that's what's supposed to happen. Christopher!
Yeah. What do we have?
We have
I found maple syrup.
Taffy.
Oh, yum.
It's still getting hard. It's still taking a while to get hard, but I'm sure it's cold enough by now.
Let me see.
Is it taffy-like?
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, that's good. That is so good.
I think you're supposed to let it sit right on top.
Yeah,
till
because
it
you wrap it
freezes.
around.
And it's supposed to be more like a...
String.
I don't know. Okay, I'm going to add a little more. Oh my gosh.
That is so good.
As I mentioned, don't eat this. Just eat the maple syrup snow.
Did you get any of my gloves?
No, they're sitting over there. My fingers are numb, but I had some delicious maple syrup, and I didn't get any on your... I don't know how this is supposed to work exactly. Well, just like that.
Yep. Oh, it's all crystallizing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's supposed to be... Here you go.
Thank you. Yeah.
Nothing like seconds. Mes amis, franco-ontariens, québécois.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Please, if you ever, you should be, make it your bucket list to make your way to Quebec City for Winter Carnival or any time during the winter months. Try some maple syrup or come and visit us at the cabin.
Even better.
In the spring.
Yeah.
And we'll go up to the sugar shack up the hill.
You're dressed like Bonhomme.
Bonhomme parle de vin. Hey, no talking in maple toffee. Yes, I am very pleased with my Québécois sash,
Your wardrobe?
my ceinture fléchée, voyageur hat, but you did it. Did you dye this as well?
No.
You dyed this red. I thought, that's such a beautiful red. All right, boys and girls. Till next time in Jamie's Outdoor Kitchen. Zan, come and say hello. There he goes. There he is. And there he goes. Mmm.
Right.
Okay, so I don't even know where we are.
Where we are is I wanted to talk about a book. So
A book.
yeah, we have a lot of books at the cabin, a ton of books, and we've got a lot of yarn books or wool books. We've got new books. We have new books as well. I want to talk about one that is a recommendation to the viewers that I love, and I really wanted to share it with everyone.
Okay, did that come in the mail? Because we didn't even talk about it. Did we get any mail this time around?
No. Well, we did. Not a lot. But
Not anything to share.
So here's the deal with this book. So when you think about a recommendation of a yarn book, you think about one full of patterns and whatnot. But I wanted to take a step back, and I wanted to talk about a book that talks about yarn and how yarn is made, and really to get an understanding of yarn. Yeah.
Okay.
And so this one, for example, when we talk about different types of yarn, it talks about...
What about, you mean this one?
This book. In this book? What do you mean?
Well, you just tell the people what the book is.
Oh, I haven't told you.
And this
It's
one,
called-
this one, it's a book, it's a mystery. He wants to keep all of the information for himself because he's going to learn so much that he wants it
Well, it's
only
going to be a
to
surprise.
himself.
So in this book, it'll be a surprise in a second.
Okay,
so,
one more thing though. But this
Yeah.
would have came, would have been delivered. It just doesn't appear here.
Yeah, no, it was delivered.
Did
for
you
sure.
go out and get it?
Yeah, no, I ordered it.
So we did get mail. This is it.
Sure. We got mail, yes. It wasn't yesterday, but it was a while ago. Anyway, so it talks about protein fibers and cellulose fibers and whatnot. So it's really, it's fantastic. But the book is called The Book of Yarn, The Ultimate Guide to Choosing, Using, and Enjoying Yarn by Clara Parkes. And it is fantastic.
Clara Parkes.
Yeah.
Is that name? Should that name be familiar?
I don't
Because it
know.
is.
We have half a dozen of her books in our house. So.
Well, that explains it. Like,
And I've
why
talked
does that
about
name
several
ring
of
a
them on
bell?
our episodes. So.
Like, why does that name ring a bell?
See, if you watched our
attention. No, I pay attention.
if you watched our episodes, then you would
Oh my
know.
gosh, who watches that? I mean, gosh, Jamie goes
Okay.
on and on for hours. People walk away and go have lunch and dinner, come back, and he's still talking about history.
So, Christopher, why are you recommending this book? It's because we've all been there before, where we walk into a yarn shop for the first time or one of our first times, and we want to, and we're immediately drawn to the color and to the touch or the texture of it. But there's of the yarn.
Not the book.
No. And so there's so much more to a skein of yarn. And yarn's expensive as well. So we want to make sure that you want to get the full picture. And so this book tells you that. It tells you about different fibers and cellulose fiber versus protein fiber. And it talks about different plies when you're looking at a yarn label and you see different plies of yarn. Not only that, it talks about which plies are better for certain projects like cables and other things. So it's really, so when you're going into a yarn shop, after you've read this book, and the book is laid out perfectly, it's great. It's got short chapters that are easily consumable, and you will walk into that yarn shop and you'll be looking at that yarn. Yes, you'll be attracted to the color and to the touch, but you'll know so much more, and your projects will definitely pop because you'll be buying now the right yarn for your projects. And so this book does a fantastic job of that. It's a great book, and I think everybody should have this book because I was reading a couple of reviews online, and it said that yarn geeks will love this book, but I think it's everybody, because if you read this, so once you read this book and you go back into your next yarn shop and you're looking at the yarn that's on the wall, you'll have a greater appreciation for what the yarn is, and a greater understanding of it. And I think it's important. This is the 101 of understanding yarn, and it's so important, especially when you're spending so much money on yarn and you're spending so much of your time on making garments or making things from yarn. It's a fantastic book.
Well, and I mean, that is what we try to do as well. We try to, inform and educate people on yarn, but I don't know everything there is to know. I'm still learning pretty much. So having this book, like you said, that could answer a lot of questions, because you could go into a shop as well. And, this is the thing too. You could go into a shop and, somebody running it, they're going to be, they're a fiberist. They'll know stuff. They might know a lot more than I'll ever know. But that person may not be there that day because
Yeah.
it's not like they'll work in the shop 24/7. So there might be someone who's maybe, a little less informed than that person who's like the expert on everything. So when you might ask questions about a fiber or, and they're unsure, if you're informed through this book and knowledgeable, you already know, you'll
Sure.
already have the answers, maybe know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then if you know what you're looking for, then you can just say, I'm looking for this 2-ply, this, that, and the other, because this is what I'm going to knit.
Yeah.
But you'll be able to find it on your own,
Yeah.
hopefully.
So I'd highly recommend this. It's well laid out, and it tells you everything you need to know about yarn, and you definitely will increase your understanding of yarn as well. So that's my recommendation.
And then when we read more of it, you've only just had it, so you've probably just glanced through it a bit so far.
Well, I've read it.
You've read the whole book?
Yes. I had it before Christmas. It didn't just come in the mail.
What? I know, but did you read the whole book already?
Yes.
Huh.
And it has 40 patterns in it as well.
Okay.
I've already picked out one of the patterns I'm going to use, which is, if you look at there, you'd never guess which pattern it is I'm going to pick. It's under 2-ply,
Uh-huh.
and they're socks.
Is it for an... Well, you just told me. I was going to guess.
I'm not the most patient person in the world, so...
I see socks.
It's
not a baby.
right before the
I'm sure you're not
baby
knitting
sweater.
a little girl sweater.
No, it's right after the
You're
little
not
girl
knitting
sweater.
a little baby girl sweater. Oh, this, though, I could see for your daughter.
No, these socks...
Oh, what about this little fish?
You're in the 2-ply section, which is right around here. Anyway.
Okay. You picked a sock pattern.
Yeah.
I see mitts. I see socks. Sweaters. Hats. Eggs.
Okay, I don't know where it is. It's
Socks.
right here. Right here. The Guernsey socks.
Guernsey. Well,
Yeah.
Is that similar to the Guernsey sweater?
It is, yeah. And I thought, they'd look great with my kilt.
We'll talk about that next time because we have a whole... Remember when we were...
My kilts.
And when we were... Oh, right. To wear with your kilt is what
Yeah.
they're showing. Well, just show it now. I'm talking about it. I already have it. He'll pop that up and you'll see it a little better than that.
My kilts are a little shorter than that, though.
He's got a mini kilt.
No, I wear it sport length.
He likes to wear a mini.
No, there's different lengths.
Oh, no,
I wear it sport length.
I wear the mini.
So anyway,
That's great.
That's my recommendation. So, Book of Yarn by Clara Parkes. It's fantastic. It's a great book. Highly recommend it. I'll put a link to that as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Now what?
What is coming up?
Coming up.
It's festival season.
Well,
It's festival season.
and they're starting. They're going to start
Yes.
soon. The question was always: are we going to a festival? Are we not going to a festival? Are we partaking in anything? Or are we not
Yeah.
partaking? That's been the question. So we only just recently got the confirmation that we're going to a festival.
We've got 3. We're registered for 3. And so we'll be vending at all 3 and we're speaking at one of them. And we'll go in chronological order, I guess. So the first one is coming up
This is the one I was
very
just talking
quickly.
about.
Yeah, very quickly.
Because we were just informed. So it's like, okay, let's get at it.
April 1st to 3rd, it is Knit City in Montreal.
Very excited.
Very excited. And
We've been waiting 2 years for this because we were originally supposed to go. It was the
Yeah.
launch
Yeah.
year, the first time. We've been talking about Knit City, Vancouver, which we've not made because that's way across the country and it's a big country. But Knit City was coming to Montreal,
Yes.
and we were right there. We're like, yes, let's try to get into this. And
Yeah.
now we've been sitting waiting for 2 years.
yeah, it's super exciting. So I'm really happy about that, and I can't wait to go. It'll be so nice to see people.
It'd be nice to see people. That's
Yes.
what I'm looking forward to. And we love Montreal. We've been
Yeah.
many times. We love Montreal. And it'll be very exciting to meet,
See
those
some-
behind the organizer of Knit City, who we've
Yes.
communicated with time and again
Yeah.
over the past 2 years and before that. So it'll be great to meet everyone.
I can't wait.
Meet new people.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Super excited about that.
Yes.
So April 1st to 3rd, if you've never been to Montreal before, or if you have been to Montreal before, fantastic city. Highly recommend that.
Yeah, if you
And-
can make your way there.
And then-
Il va falloir pratiquer mon français parce qu'à Montréal, il y en a plusieurs francophones.
And then,
Québécois.
and then in August 11th to 14th is Twist, and that is about an hour north of Montreal. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
an
it that
hour-ish. I'm not sure. It's around an hour, and that's a fantastic festival. So that's August 11th to 14th. We'll have more information about these festivals as we get closer to it.
And we really, really want to clarify something that's very, very important, because we talk about Twist and we talk about now this Knit City in Montreal. And don't even think about it, but Montreal is it's fluently bilingual. There are Anglophones, and a lot of the vendors are going to be Anglophone. And so I think some people have the impression that they will question if, but it's very French or French speaking, that sort of thing. I know that goes with Twist because it's outside of Montreal. And sometimes on the outskirts of Montreal, you get a lot of very French towns, but everybody speaks English.
Yeah.
Practically everybody. Canada is bilingual. If you're French, it's mandatory to learn English. I went to French school, it was mandatory to learn English at the French school, even though I spoke English. So, no mistaking, it's for everyone. English included for classes and what have you.
Yeah, and then this week we just found out, we just nailed down our last festival.
Nailed it.
Which is in September 23rd to 25th, and it's in Prince Edward Island. And we're going to be vending there, and we're also going to be speaking. I'm super excited about that. And do you know what the topic is going to be?
But I'm shy. I don't know if I could talk in front of an audience.
It's going to be a large audience as well. And I
am shy.
And so we'll be talking about the Indigenous and European use of natural dyes in Canada. And so
the history of over time.
History of over time. And so I'm really excited about that. And I'm so excited about going to Prince Edward Island.
I know a little bit about a lot of things, but I don't know. Never mind, that's a song. I won't go there. It's a funny song.
That's not from Anne of Green Gables, though.
It's not. It's not. It's I'm drawing a blank on her name, but it's a very comical song because it's a woman's not supposed to know a lot, so they play on the thing that I might know a little bit, but I just know a little bit about a lot of things. But don't get confused. She's smarter than you think.
Yes. So we'll be there September 23rd to 25th. And if you've never been to Prince Edward Island before, it is absolutely beautiful. And I can't wait to go. And
I have not been to the East Coast.
No, you haven't been further than
Quebec City.
Saginaw.
The Saguenay. Oh, yeah. Up the St. Lawrence a little further. That's right. We went up to the Saguenay region. That's a little further east than I've ever been. But
you haven't been to New Brunswick or Nova Scotia.
It was kind of northeast. I've not been past the province of Quebec. I've not been to the East Coast. I've not been to the East Coast at all. So
we're really excited about that. And I know a number of viewers are going. You've already mentioned it to me. So it'll be fantastic to see you there. And it's a perfect time of the year as well. It's going to be great.
And we've been dealing with people like Briggs and Little forever. They're out on the East Coast.
Yeah, and New Brunswick.
And we also we want to visit some sheep farms. We want to visit some mills. We want to visit a friend of ours lovely knitter, has moved there, Louise.
A lot of
just
people
left our area, and she moved back to the East Coast, where she spent a lot of time when she was first had her children, that sort of thing, and she's gone back to the East Coast. And I'm pretty sure, did she not say she's not far from Briggs and Little?
Yeah, she's just down the road.
So we are going to see her as well. So very exciting to meet new people. Excited for the talk. Excited for so much.
So if you're planning your vacation this year and you want to think about it, Twist is a great festival to attend.
Twist, of course.
Yeah, Knit City's fantastic in Montreal, and PEI is a fantastic trip as well.
Yeah, and about Twist, they again, I think they were supposed to be celebrating their, was it 20th anniversary they were? Or
I don't know.
Was that coming up and then COVID? I'm not sure exactly, but that's going to be very exciting. Because
we'll have to send that to our fact-checking department, and we'll put up something on the screen after the fact-checkers.
Exactly, but I'm sure they're planning something extra special because they were at the time, and they've always been known as one of the largest of the festivals in Canada.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful, quaint little town, and they put on a great show. They put on a great festival. They have some fantastic classes, so Twist as well.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So just want to thank everybody again for watching us. And
we're there?
And for your comments.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
and just like that.
And just like that. You haven't watched that yet.
Yes.
So anyway, I just want to thank everybody for watching.
Yes, absolutely. once again, because of the milestone that we mentioned at the beginning. So an extra special thank you.
Oh, and you had a birthday. You didn't talk about that.
Oh,
Is that the milestone?
No,
that wasn't a milestone.
There is no milestone. I don't have milestone birthdays. See, January, I do. January, see, it's one of those things, you know, if your birthday is in January, it's like, I don't know what it would be like if your birthday was in, you know, the middle of summertime where you're having a wonderful time in the warm, beautiful weather and it's just summer. It's just passing through those months and you get midway through the year and you're having a wonderful... But me, it's like, it's Christmas, it's New Year's, and come January, I'm another year older. But only on page, only on paper.
Sure. So thanks everyone for watching. Take care and have a fantastic week.
Merci mes amis. À la prochaine.
Bye-bye.